Thank you, Ronelle. It is my great pleasure to introduce Martin Coul. Martin is a mental health advocate with a focus on evidence-based prevention in schools and organizations. His startup, OTII, has just concluded what is believed to be Switzerland's largest study on menopause in the workplace. With inspiration from his own lived experience, his purpose is to diffuse the negative narrative and bring more human, compassionate voice to well-being and mental health for everyone, every day. Without further ado, let us hear about menopause in the Swiss workplace. Martin, over to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mahal. I'll just share my screen. Is that okay for everyone? Yeah, great. Just don't want to see my face either when I'm talking. Okay, thanks very much for the warm introduction. It's great to be here this afternoon. I'm aware time is short, so let's just jump right to it. So, my why. I'm often asked, what is a guy doing talking about menopause? And the truthful answer is, it's complicated. As a child, I lost a parent to schizophrenia in the late 1970s. Fast forward to today, and whilst we're talking about mental health more than we've ever done before, there's still a huge amount of ignorance and stigma that swirls around the topic. When I started OTII last year, I wanted to shine a light on the topics that really impact our mental health and well-being, but are yet are still considered taboo or edgy by society. Menopause is one of those. So what does OTII do? Through the power of evidence-based data, we enable organizations to seamlessly measure, monitor, and track the well-being of their members over time. Our data-driven approach focuses on prevention, enabling our clients to directly influence the mental health of those they have a duty of care for, not just for now, but for a lifetime. So for our study, we asked women across Switzerland to self-report on approximately 40 questions over a 2-week period around mid-June earlier this year. Now, I'm led to believe this is Switzerland's largest ever study on the impact of menopause in the workplace. At least no one's contradicted me yet. And I should also add that all the data we collected was completely anonymous. The only social demographic data we collected was asking women to select their age group. So in terms of responses, we had 102 responses from women across Switzerland. And to put this in comparison, a Swedish academic paper, which is traditionally highlighted as one of the main academic papers on this subject, which was published at the end of last year, collected qualitative data from just 14 women. The lack of data on a topic that impacts all of us, irrespective of our gender, is quite simply staggering. Now, from the responses, 57% of those fell into the age bracket aged 45 to 54. 19% were 44 and under, and 1 in 4 were aged 55 to 64. So at the beginning, Ronelle talked about in the US that 75% of the US workforce is in the 45 to 54 age group. That was also the same for the vast majority of respondents to our survey. Now, in terms of awareness, we know that everyone's experience of menopause is as unique as their fingerprint. And as Claudia says, it affects everyone differently. From our study, we found that 55% of women think they have currently reached menopause. 13% answered no or unsure to this question. 72% have experienced symptoms they attribute to menopause. And 1 in 3 are using or considering hormone replacement therapy. Now, using medication is a complicated topic and can be overwhelming for some women. There was a study done in 2002 linking HRT to breast disease, strokes, and breast cancer. And that put many people off the idea of hormone replacement therapy. That study has now been discredited, but many women still shy away from treatment that could really improve their quality of life. Now, familiarity with symptoms. We asked all of the respondents, how familiar are you with the physical and mental symptoms that can occur around the time of menopause and the changes that can happen to your body during this transition? We covered 21 of the most common symptoms across 6 distinct areas: stress, anxiety, and depression, somatic, cognitive, menstrual, sleep, and vasomotor. What came back is that overall, and the overall familiarity of the symptoms was a solid 6.68 out of 10. And on the face of it, this shows a good level of awareness. However, when you dive deeper into the age segments, it paints a slightly different picture. 4.24 out of 10 was the familiarity for those aged 44 and under. So for those approaching perimenopause, they have the worst awareness of all. Just over 1 in 4 of all respondents were unfamiliar with the mental and physical change associated with menopause. We also looked at and ranked the symptoms, and for the top 6 symptoms, only 6 of them we inquired about were found to be in the majority of respondents over the 2 weeks prior to the survey. And as you can see here, feeling restless and unsettled was the top symptom for everybody, whereas poor memory and brain fog was only there's only a 10% spread between those 6 symptoms. We also split them down by age group. And as you can see here, sleep difficulties for women aged 45 to 54 was by far the strongest symptom that was experienced. And difficulty sleeping is consistently one of the most common symptoms of untreated menopause, as there's often a very strong link between poor sleep and diminished work performance among midlife women. For the second part of the study, we asked 12 questions that were specific to their personal experiences within the workplace. We asked these questions due to the fact that, as well as experiencing primary symptoms associated with menopause, menopausal women are also at greater risk of secondary symptoms, such as a lack of confidence in their abilities and work performance. 59% of women feel less confident than they used to. Again, we found that the 45 to 54 age group was most likely to struggle with loss of confidence. Those 41 to 44 were least affected here. 48% of the respondents worry about how their performance is perceived. And again, 45 to 54, that age group, were most likely to describe their symptoms as impacting their day-to-day work. And finally, nearly 1 in 3 worry that their colleagues think they're less capable due to menopause. Absenteeism and presenteeism. Menopausal symptoms are also impacting the absenteeism of employees. Nearly, or just over 1 in 5 thought about quitting their job due to their menopausal symptoms. Again, we found that those aged 45 to 54 are the group most at risk of leaving their job due to their menopausal symptoms. And only 12% of this age group have discussed their symptoms with their line manager. 1 in 5 have taken time off due to their symptoms, and that's consistent with the research that was shown at the beginning by Ronell and Hal. And 6% of people have taken more than 1 week off. And all of this is entirely avoidable if companies step up and offer education and support to their employees. We also looked into workplace culture. And when we investigated this topic, we found that there was a distinct lack of dialogue between line managers and employees. Only 10% of all of the respondents have discussed their symptoms with their manager. And Fawcett, in a report for Channel 4 in the UK, report that less than 1 in 3 women have actually told anybody at work. That could be their SRM, their colleague, their boss, they haven't told anyone that they're struggling with the menopausal symptoms. That's 1 in 3. 17% of Swiss workplaces encourage an open dialogue on menopause, and a whopping 68% respondents feel there's a lack of understanding. As we've heard, women leaders are quitting their jobs at the highest rates ever, according to McKinsey. And it's not the symptoms that are forcing them out of the workplace, but a lack of support. We also asked respondents what would be the best approaches for companies to provide menopausal support and information to their staff. And this is what we found. As you can see here, access to an expert, people like Claudia, is by far the most requested resource that a company can give its staff. Leaflets and posters generally don't get much of a look in, and I think most people treat them with a pinch of salt. But actually, getting access to an expert is by far and away the best thing an employer can do for its staff, according to our research. And as Claudia highlighted a little bit, the reality is that these small changes can go a long way towards supporting employees, not least through creating an inclusive environment using a practical approach that includes more flexibility for workers relating to simple things like temperature, flexible working, and access to cold water. Finally, we asked everyone who completed the survey, what more could their company do to support those suffering from menopausal symptoms in their own workplace? Here is a brief selection of their anonymous answers, and I'll just leave you to read that for a little bit. My jaw still drops when I see the comment in orange. My company does not care. They fired me as I had just finished acute cancer therapies and a surgery. A little under 1/3 of the respondents left comments, and we've included a full set of those in the report, and we'll tell you how you can get access to that in just a little while. Now, before I hand you back to Ranel and Michal, I want to ask you a question. What if every time we do business, something good happens in the world? What do we mean by that? Quite simply, I'd like you to take out your smartphones, your mobile phones, if you would, for a minute, and zap the QR code that's in front of you on the screen. When you've finished, if you could please maybe, if you feel like it, make a comment in the chat to say you've done it, or to say how that made you feel. I'll just give you a minute or so to do that. Thank you.
So thank you, Martin, for everything you do.
Let me just finish, Michal.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, sorry. Thank you very much for participating there. When you work with OTII, you'll discover we're making a difference in the world simply by doing what we do every day through giving. And finally, thanks so much for listening. Please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to have a copy of the report. We're distributing this under a Creative Commons license so that everybody can benefit from the findings. Your choice of social impact will soon be making a difference, so thank you very much for that. And when you need my help, please don't hesitate to reach out. The contact details on the screen. You can also zap that QR code to get my LinkedIn profile. And just thank you very much for your engagement this afternoon. It's much appreciated.